Hello and welcome to FutureFi, where we talk about anything and everything on the blockchain. On today's show, we have Robert Scoble, who is a significant voice in the technology space, having worked with and interviewed major players like Elon Musk, Aaron Swartz, and Vitalik Buterin. On today's episode, we talk about what a neural radiance field is, how blockchain technology and AR will work together in the future, and we even touch on a release date for the Apple AR glasses. So without wasting more time, let's jump right into this conversation with Robert. How you doing today, Robert?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Love the enthusiasm. We have a lot to unpack today. Today's going to be a little bit different than our traditional interviews, but nonetheless, we're going to explore a lot about AR and how that's going to evolve into the blockchain and how those two intersect. But Robert, would love for our listeners that don't know anything about you, just to give yourself, I know it's a long one, but a brief overview about you and what you've worked on and what you're currently working on.
I wrote 4 books on technology, each of which predicts decade-long trends. The latest one was called The Infinite Retina, which was about spatial computing, augmented reality, and other things. And Qualcomm's head of augmented reality said it's a must-read. I also had the first ride in the first Tesla. Elon Musk gave me a ride before he gave his best friend a ride because we were racing him.
No way.
Yeah, true
That's
story.
Amazing.
That's only one of thousands of companies I've seen first. And so, yeah, I interviewed thousands of entrepreneurs over the years, including, like we were talking before you turn on the microphone, about Ethereum. I interviewed Vitalik when he was 17 years old before anybody really understood what crypto was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as with a lot of the books that you've published, predicting trends, how was the feeling after that interview?
During the interview, I called him an alien. I said, "Where the hell did you come from? Because you know more about economics than my professors at university did." And he was 17 years old, right? And so he's not a typical teenager. Let's just put it that way. And it wasn't even then. He's a real extraordinary mind.
Yes, no, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And that was in 2017, you said?
Somewhere around there. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. When he was 17.
Well, I've been doing my research, and outside of the books you
Bitcoin was
published-
$700 in the ATM we were sitting next to. So it was a while ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to put a timestamp like that on some of those things and see how everything evolves. But outside of, I mean, the books that you've published have, really proven to like roll out and age really well. And I've also been researching.
That's another way of saying they were too early.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a famous phrase right now. It's like, if you're reading this, you're early. Yeah. But you're very involved in the AR space. I would love to hear more about, how you got into AR and, just your current thoughts on it.
Well, the reason I was able to write all these books is I was flown around the world to visit R&D labs around the world. And I kept seeing, I visited Metaio in Germany, and the CTO of Metaio was showing me monsters on the sides of skyscrapers 11 years ago. And then a year later, Apple buys the company and they disappear into the bowels of this big company, right? And that happened to me dozens of times. And I'm like, something's going on here. Tim Cook is spending some money. and I got too excited too fast. But I started, I used to work at Microsoft as a strategist. So I realized, there's a lot of technologies inside Windows that nobody cares about, or it doesn't get, very much featured, but everybody calls it Windows because that's the user interface. The user interface is what people think of when they think of new things. And augmented reality is going to be the user interface for NFTs or virtual worlds where you can buy virtual land, right? That kind of thing.
100%.
So I over-indexed on the user interface. I do have a Twitter list of crypto people, so I watch the NFT and crypto space pretty closely. Maybe not as closely as I should, but pretty closely. And I know that the two are like peanut butter and jelly, and they're going to come together.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now, the technology is quite early and maturing to a state of like figuring out first of all, what needs to be on the blockchain and why. Not everything needs to be on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And what is that perfect recipe going to be? And like with AR, art finds a great place with AR, because if you have these glasses, you can do a great art installation, for example.
Yeah.
And what are some other things that you're seeing that are
the big one is AI
advertisement?
Oh, the third piece of this peanut butter and jelly sandwich is the bread, and that's AI. I was the first one to see Siri too, which was the first AI app available for consumers. So I've been watching AI from autonomous cars and from voice response systems like Siri for a long time as well. And so,
how does that tie into AR?
Oh, it's going to run everything, right?
Please.
I mean, look at my Tesla car; it drives itself. That's AI, right? But the user interface,
good point.
The user interface is 2D right now. Why are they representing a 3D world on a 2D screen? Well, that won't last much longer. You're going to be wearing a pair of glasses 5-10 years from now. And then you're going to have a 3D user interface for the autonomous car. So the AI is going to run everything you see and touch and do.
So just from my understanding, the AI, what you're saying is
machine
maybe
learning,
for the spatial
AI.
awareness.
Yeah.
Is that for like the spatial awareness where objects will exist?
Not just spatial awareness. I mean, it's used at Spotify to pick your music, right? So AI is running your music. Is running your radio station, or what we used to call as radio station, right? So you're wearing a pair of glasses in a Cybertruck of the future, and you tell a Tesla to play some music. It's an AI playing the music, and there's 19 AI systems navigating the car and running everything from the windshield wipers to what you're seeing, right? So, and that's the metaverse. Tesla is the first real-time metaverse.
That is an interesting perspective. That kind of makes a lot of sense.
Yesterday, I drove across the Golden Gate Bridge, and I was counting cars. A Tesla is going across the bridge every 10 seconds. And as it goes by, it could be creating a neural radiance field. So AI, let's talk about neural radiance fields, because those are
please.
The Apple headset and glasses are going to be viewers of neural radiance fields. So 2D cameras collect grids of pixels, right? The AI converts those 2D cameras to a 3D scene called a neural radiance field, which is quite a magical thing. There's people creating these. NVIDIA a couple months ago came out with a neural radiance field, or a NERF creator. And people stick in, let's say they take 30 pictures of a tree all the way around the tree. They stick it into the neural radiance field creator, and it spits out a 3D scene that you can fly around in augmented reality glasses. Soon, we're going to see everything as a radiance field. In other words, we're heading into a world where everything is photorealistic. No more little polygons being displayed to your eyes. Okay, polygons will probably still be there. Old technologies don't go away. They just become underneath. Like Dave, I worked for Dave Warner. He created RSS. RSS is still used underneath Twitter in a lot of places, but most people don't know what RSS is, right? It's just a technology that's swapped. In fact, podcasting is using RSS.
Yeah.
Right? That's how podcasting works. So you get an XML file, it pulls out an audio file from a server somewhere and delivers it to your headphones. Well, that's RSS. And nobody cares about RSS because it's underneath. It's a technology that enables things, right? And same thing
just building blocks.
So neural radiance fields is a new enabler. We're going to go to concerts and football games next Christmas in the Apple headset, and maybe walk out of the football stadium into some sort of new virtual world where we can play some new game, and there's somebody there who is willing to sell you some costume or some gun or some building, or rent you time inside a new virtual warehouse or something like that. And all of that could be NFTs, right?
100%. And you just said Apple headset sometime next year. I mean, the only reason I asked that is you're very involved. You know what's going on.
It's not
And
just
is that a
Apple.
prediction?
You noticed Mark Zuckerberg this morning was showing off prototypes of stuff coming. He's trying to blunt the Apple attack. He's trying to get credit for doing work before Apple comes and takes credit for everything. Right?
Interesting.
Because that's what Apple does.
Can you? Well, I mean, they definitely have the wearable tech market locked down.
Yeah.
And I do believe that that's going to, 100%.
Yeah.
But I do think that when it comes to AR glasses, if Apple is able to execute the look properly, mass adoption could really happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to happen regardless, but what are your thoughts on that? Like, what company is going to lead the way?
Apple. Here's why. Apple has infrastructure already in my home that is not turned on. That is for the headset next year. There's two things I've really been spending a lot of time learning about. One is the M1 chip. And if you look at the slides when they show off the M1 or the M2 chip that just came out, about 17% of that chip is neural network. It's not being used.
Interesting.
It's there to create neural radiance fields. It's there.
Can you, again, for the listeners?
Yeah.
And for me, neural radiance. Can you break that down just one more time for myself and the listeners?
It's a 3D scene that you can walk through, and it's like a photogram. We're about to go into a 3D world, right? Where we can walk around the computing. There's going to be something on your coffee table. There's going to be something on your walls. We already know this because I have a Microsoft HoloLens, right? And the HoloLens lets me play a game called Fragments, which is fucking mind-blowing. Because sorry about the language. Hopefully, there's no children.
No, please.
Although the children all know what the word means.
It's true. It's true.
Sort of funny societal social contract thing. Anyway, so Fragments blows holes in your real walls using augmented reality. Right, so you're seeing something coming through the back of your wall, and it's blowing a hole in your wall, and your wall is cracking. And then an alien crawls through the hole and starts flying at you and starts shooting at you. And you got to use your fingers to shoot back, with a virtual gun that you're holding. And so that's the world we're going in. Nobody knows about it because HoloLens is heavy. The optics suck. There's not really many things to do on it. And it's $3,500. And it's just ugly. And it's not a consumer device. It's an enterprise device. It's aimed at, companies doing factory floors this way. So neural radiance fields is going, the way the HoloLens works, it puts little polygons on the walls. You can't see them. They're really tiny little triangles, right? And that's how it creates the virtuality that you're seeing through the lenses. Neural radiance fields goes one step further. And let's back up. The cameras on the front of the HoloLens actually make a point cloud. They actually see the world as little points of data all around you, millions and millions of them. So your walls are millions of points of data. That's too much data for the computer to deal with. So the computer very quickly converts that to little polygons. Polygons, little triangles on everything, is much easier for the computer to deal with, right? Still fairly difficult. This is why, you want to get a new NVIDIA card every couple of years, because all of a sudden all your video games, which are all polygons, all get better. And then you get new features like ray tracing, right? And you get better frame rates because it's faster at dealing with these polygons. That's how a modern video game is built, right? Neural radiance fields, polygons doesn't look very photorealistic. If you're in an alt space VR and you're going to the virtual Burning Man in a VR headset, it's cool, but it doesn't look right. It looks like a cartoon-ish, right? It looks like a video game from 10 years ago, right? Which is really what it is. It's a video game from 10 years ago. Using 10-year-old technology, we finally got around to making it $300. So Apple,
that makes sense.
What does Apple do? Apple always comes in late. and comes in with a technology that redefines everything that came before as lame. And so they're coming next year with a headset that has sharper imaging chips in front of your eyes than the HoloLens, much sharper, much better headphone, Dolby Atmos spatial audio headphone, which gives you true surround sound and a bone transference speaker. So you're going to get
that's
really
a huge
great
part of the experience.
Bingo.
Like being immersed. Yeah.
Bingo. So
audio is overlooked largely.
Bingo. And also it has access to a couple things, right? It has access to all this neural network in the M1. So it can send workloads over to I have two M1s in my house already, right? And the headset itself has an M2 chip in it. So my house is going to have 3 batches of really good AI computers. And they're all...
Are those going to be treated as like rendering farms for this?
Bingo, because there's right next to that chip is an ultra wideband chip. This is a new mesh network that gives new capabilities, completely blows away Bluetooth, and puts extra data onto the wireless network, i.e., each radio is spitting its 3D location in space into the air. So I have 11 of these devices, right? Your AirPod Pro's case has one of these chips in it. Your AirPods Max has one. Your iPhone has one. Your Mac has one. Your iPad has one, right? I have 11 of these devices in my house already. The translation to that is when you get a virtual monitor, like I'm looking at a physical monitor right now on my iMac, right? I have a physical iMac that's sitting on my kitchen table. Mm-hmm. Soon we're going to have a virtual iMac that's sitting on my kitchen table. Today, if you use a Magic Leap or a HoloLens or some other AR device, and you move your head left and right, the monitors move a little. They jitter, they shake. Mm-hmm. Same thing in VR. If you're wearing a Quest 2.0 headset, it has 4 cameras on the outside of it aimed at your room, and it's seeing your room, and that's how it's doing the tracking. That's how it's making VR work. When you move your head left and right, sometimes the whole room shakes a little bit. It's not real steady. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be true on Apple's thing. Apple's thing is not going to move. And that alone is going to blow people away because they're going to know what a Quest... 100%. People like me know what a Quest 2 does. I have one sitting here. And when we go to the Apple store, we're going to put on the Apple headset and we're going to move our head left and right and go, fuck. We're going to go, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah. Because they have a lot of little radios around you.
So is that going to play largely into... in your home, your best AR experience will exist in this era because of all your devices.
Yeah.
And then will that mesh network overlap with like iPhones?
What do we want to do in a VR headset? I mean, without even thinking about 3D, you're still going to want to do 2D stuff. The Warriors are on TV right now with their parade because they won the championship. Exactly. You're still going to want to watch 2D video streams coming over the internet, right? Or over your TV infrastructure. That's not going
one
away.
Of the best analogies is like, those movies where it was like sci-fi and they would have monitors where they're interacting with the screen. Bingo. And you were like, wow, that's the future. But that's probably the first step in this experience, right?
Bingo.
Of interacting with these types of screens. Yeah. And I mean, that alone, that user experience is insane. But that's probably stage 1.
Yeah. Now think of watching Ted Lasso next Christmas with your Apple headset on. And Ted Lasso can actually jump out of the screen onto your floor and go, hey, I want to teach you a new play in soccer. Right?
Wow.
On your floor.
See, this is... So, but back to the question, is your home going to be for this next 2 years the best place for this to happen?
Yeah,
because of all these
because it's the low-hanging fruit. It's where we do most of our entertainment computing. I.e., it's where we watch movies, where we listen to music, where we play video games, where we do work, right? Is
Yes.
this counted as work or entertainment? This is more on the work side of the balance sheet, right? Or the blockchain.
Yep.
The work chain.
Okay,
We need to invent some new
so
terms. We need a work chain. We need a play
exactly. This
chain and a
actually
work
brings up
chain.
a great question
Yeah.
because AR and NFTs, people are building a layer of augmented reality on top of this, right? So
Yeah.
what's going to be when you put on your glasses? What's everyone going to see, say, in Times Square when they put this on? Are we all going to have this shared experience?
Yes.
What chain are we going to be on?
Well,
and
first of all,
are we going to be able to swap?
You're seeing neural radiance fields. You don't need a chain for that. You just need to be able to download the nerf to your headset, right? That looks like Times Square. Now, are we playing a game in Times Square? Are we shooting each other? Are we playing frisbee? Are we playing a new ping pong game that's in the middle of Times Square?
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? Each of those might need transactionality. I might need to buy some better ping pong paddles because you bought the better ones and you're beating me all the time, right? And now,
Gotcha.
where do I get my ping pong paddles? I get them from a store. Do I pay Apple Pay for those, or do I buy them, using some sort of new NFT technology?
So what is your prediction on this first layer that will exist for shared AR? Because I feel like the way that this really succeeds is where we all have a shared AR, and to fund it too, people are able to run advertisements in this space. So there's an economic circle that's flowing where
Bingo.
people are going in, enjoying this.
By the way,
and the advertisements can get very specific.
Oh, yes.
That is deep. And it can get very, very, very specific.
If you're in Times Square in a neural radiance field, you see all the advertisements, right? If you're in the real Times Square and you're standing in the middle of that, you see hundreds of signs all around you with advertisements.
Yeah, very broad ones. Yeah.
Yeah, big ones, small ones, ones that are tickers, all sorts of fun things to look at, right? If you're in the neural radiance field, you're going to see the same. But now I know the neural radiance technology, each of those signs is segmented into its own object by the computer vision and can be replaced with a different neural radiance field.
For a targeted ad, for media buyers.
Bingo. Right. So if we're playing a ping pong game in the middle of this new Times Square and we're seeing the advertising changing around us, it might not have anything to do with the real world. It could be brought to us by an ad platform that's, auctioning off the ads that we're seeing around us, and it looks real, right?
So, yeah, my question is, what are your predictions on who's going to facilitate this layer one? Is it going to be Apple? Is it going to be a chain like Ethereum?
My prediction is Apple's going to be pretty controlling. And so this is a question of what year are we talking about? If it's Christmas 2023, we're probably getting very muted experiences, very little advertising. Apple's going to be very controlling of the experience because they want to make sure everybody has a great time and doesn't get freaked out and doesn't get garish ads, right? Doesn't get porn. I mean, if you're playing ping pong with your kids and all of a sudden a porn ad appears, that's going to make you not feel good about the device. You're going to go, oh, shit, I can't use this device with my kids, right? So Apple's going to be very controlling about the advertising or the visuality that you see around you. And so will Meta, right? Meta is going to be a little bit more aggressive maybe because they are an advertising company. But so far, my Quest 2 has very little advertising. It's very muted on advertising. This is an advertising company subsidizing a headset. So we know Zuckerberg is planning on advertising. But
yes, just needs the users first,
right? And he doesn't want to freak anybody out, and he doesn't want to make it look too ugly, right? And people have a bad experience. So he's being very muted about that. So we'll see how aggressive it is. Are we talking about 10 years from now? Now all bets are off because it's been sold to the world. Everybody has them. You have glasses from China, glasses from this company, that company. You have Snap glasses, Google glasses, Apple glasses, Meta glasses, right? And then the bets are off.
So we know that Meta is pro cryptocurrency. Apple's alluded to being pro cryptocurrency as well. What are your thoughts of are NFTs going to make a real impression on the world in this first go around, or is it going to take some more time?
I think we need to get through the AOL phase of the internet first. Remember?
I love it. Yeah.
Right. When I was
Yep.
when I was young, we had Prodigy in the 80s. First, go back even before that, we had BBSs. My friend had a BBS in his garage with a bunch of Hayes modems and PCs that would answer phone calls from around the world. People forget those days, but in the 80s, that's sort of how we did the internet. Then Prodigy came along and made that easier. And then AOL came along and made that nicer looking and easier. And then we got into the CompuServe age, and then the web showed up, right? And then things started changing radically and becoming much more connected and much more visual and much richer, right? Where we can play video games with each other over the web now. And I think we're going to go through the same thing. I don't know how aggressive Apple is going to be about crypto because it has Apple Pay, and most people have Apple Pay, right? You go into a 7-Eleven, they have Apple Pay. They don't have crypto pay, right? Not yet.
But what it does need, like in my opinion, what the crypto space needs is something like an Apple for the onboarding experience to get into a token much easier than it currently is.
I think that'll come, but I think we need to get people used to the idea you're going to a 3D football game first, right? I mean, most people have no idea that how wild this technology is, right? Even VR, most people, you put them in a Quest and they're like, I had no idea that did all that. Right? And, so we need to get normal everyday people used to going to concerts, going to football or basketball games, baseball games, stuff like that, going to plays in 3D, right? Doing everyday normal things. Most of that you're going to pay on Apple Pay. Now, developers like you and me, we're going to get tired of the Apple Pay real quick because we have to pay Apple 15% of everything we do. So if I sell you a gun in a virtual land, or I charge you a ticket to come into my virtual nightclub, we both have to pay Apple 15%. We're going to get tired of that real quick. And then we're going to say, how can we make this cheaper, better, and get rid of the Apple tax, right? And be more free, because maybe we do want to do an adult club. Apple's not going to allow that on Apple Pay, right? So now there's new things we want to do with each other. That's where the crypto community is really going to start coming alive and showing, hey, there's another way to do this than Apple Pay.
I think that is right on the money. I think, but what we have to pay attention to is this is great for that to occur, because without Apple coming in and with all their fun, all their money and all what they're doing, like you said, people need to have a good experience before they know that they like something like this. Because, I mean,
we don't know why inevitable. We want to board ape yet, right? I mean, the NFT people all will tell you why you want to board ape, but normal everyday people are like, what? That doesn't make sense to me. Why is that worth $2 million? I don't know. I don't get it, right? But someday soon, we're going to have this mixed reality, right? Again, aliens are going to blow holes in your real walls. That means you can have virtual art on your real walls as well. Now I am in a collection kind of thing. Now I'm like looking for art to put on my walls. Do I get virtual art created by an AI, that I talk to? Or do I go to some artist who creates beautiful things or maybe entire worlds that are on my wall?
So what does it look like? Actually, that's a good question. Like, so AR is much different, but similar vein as, we have VR and AR.
They're the same things. I don't think about them as any different anymore, because all VR is you're only seeing virtuality. You're not seeing the real world at all, right? You're in VR. You're in a virtual world. Everything you see is created by a computer. Soon we're going to be in this world where some things are created by the computer, some things are the real world, and they're going to interact with each other. That's mixed reality, or XR, right?
Gotcha.
And it's a spectrum from reality. It's a spectrum. If you look at the original definitions,
that's a good way to look at it.
it's you can have some things that are 90% reality and 10% virtuality, all the way up to VR, which is 100% virtuality. It's the spectrum, and they're everywhere in between. And in fact, then they start arguing, oh, we're going to have some things that take things out of the real world and replace them, right? Take my coffee cup out of the real world and put a Coke can there, right?
Yeah. Actually, another question that I've been having is I'm seeing some images with like some glass looking phones where there's imagery being displayed on it. Is there going to be a short-term world or the next steps of this phase of AR glasses, and then you hold devices that it corresponds to?
Yes.
Can you explain or walk me down that?
I kept hearing about clear iPhones for a long time from my sources. Now it's sort of like, it's making sense. The phone is a great controller to, if you're wearing a VR headset or an AR headset or some sort of glasses on your face, right? Your phone is a great controller. You can type on it. There's IMUs, there's sensors for motion in there. So as you turn it, it could be a racing wheel in a Formula One race car, right? Or it could be a gun. It could be a targeting system. You're holding your phone, you're seeing your phone, or you're seeing what you think is your phone, and it's a targeting system for a new kind of weapon system and a new kind of AR game that we're all playing together. And I'm shooting you by tapping on the screen and controlling different things in my targeting system, right? The phone can do a lot of things because it has 3D sensors on both sides of the phone. And I can do some crazy stuff. Now, here's another one. Let's say the Apple device is $3,000. That's the rumor. It's going to be really expensive because it's a full-on Macintosh on your head, right? That's the other thing we didn't even talk about. Is it's not going to be just a VR device. It's going to be your computing device. Why would you buy a laptop after you get this headset? But anyways, let's say I'm wearing this headset. I can't afford 4 of them. That's $12,000. Who has $12,000 unless other than the rich people? But the kids all have iPads and they all have iPhones. So they could interact with, let's say I'm wearing the headset next Christmas. They could interact with me wearing the headset, right, on their iPhones or on their iPads, right? And they
using it as like a mirror.
Well, they're holding it and they're seeing the virtuality. They're seeing the nerf from their point of view. Because one advantage of neural radiance fields is you get virtual cameras, infinite virtual cameras. You get as many cameras as you want from any angle. So if I build a 3D scene like a Yosemite National Park and we're walking around Yosemite, a virtual thing, you can put a camera anywhere there, which means your iPad can be a camera there. Right.
Gotcha.
You can look at the falls. You can look at Half Dome. You can look at me. Right, and then you can kill me with your targeting system on your iPad.
So that also brings up the biggest part of this that really brings in the social aspect is the shared AR. So what you're getting at is someone with a headset could be sharing in this layer 1 or whatever that we're discussing. And there's a box, and someone with their phone could be looking through their phone as a gateway to see this box as well.
Yeah. There's I was at the Augmented World Expo a week or two ago, and a guy came up to me. He runs a company called Anki, Anki. And he pulled out one phone. He said, "Here, play my little game." And I was driving a little virtual car on the ground. And it was like, oh, this is cool. Okay. He goes, hold on. He pulls another phone out of his pocket and he starts playing another car, interacting with my car. So I'm holding a phone, looking at the ground, playing with this cool little virtual car that's rolling around the real ground, right, on my phone. It's a mind fuck, right? It's really cool. Augmented reality, right?
So cool. Yep.
The guy pulls out the second phone. Now he has 2 cars on the ground interacting, and we can race each other and we can do a little course together, play games, right? Then he hands that phone to somebody else. We were doing this right in the middle of the hall there, expo hall. And he pulls out a third phone and he hands the second phone to somebody else and says, you play now. And he pulls out a third car And he said, I can do up to 50 cars all on the same floor, everybody interacting, everybody having fun, right? So,
but those phones have to agree on this software. They all
no,
have to say, we're
it's an
playing
app.
this card.
It's augmented reality. He built an app using ARKit on the Apple phone to do the augmented reality. His platform, Anki's platform, is what keeps track of all the 50 cars in real time.
Gotcha.
On a SLAM map of the floor. So the first phone created a map, a digital twin of the floor, right? And this is how this stuff works. The first phone is going to create your neural radiance field, and then everything's going to play inside that radiance field. Here's another one.
It's very similar to what Aki Labs is working on.
Yeah, so sort of the old Aki. Yeah, this is a different company, but yeah, similar. There's going to be competitors here. I mean, Niantic is trying to do this on the real world scale, right? So they're trying to build a SLAM map, a digital twin of the real world, and then they're building a platform for gamers to build, or companies to build all sorts of utility and games on top of their digital twin. Here's one. I worked for a robot company, a giant AI company, which is pretty cool. Stealth mode company. The robot sees in radiance fields. It sees the real world and converts them to radiance fields. And then the hands that are moving around a table are moving around in a radiance field. That's how the thing works. I saw another company recently, an autonomous car company. They have 2 cameras on the front of the car and an NVIDIA card in the glove compartment. And as it's driving at 80 miles an hour, it's creating radiance fields in front of the car, like 200 meters or 200 yards in front of the car, creates a radiance field, and then the car navigates through the radiance fields. So, again, we're going to wear 2 cameras on our head with an AI computer right there. So it's going to be able to create radiance fields, i.e., we're going to have interactive AR gaming that's going to come, or AR interactive screens for entertainment, or AR interactive classrooms, right?
What really blows my mind is, are we going to see exponential growth again with the same way we saw the internet just hockey stick?
It
seems like
so.
once
That's
we start getting this, once we start getting these data points and they're all getting, and AI starts to work and all this data starts to accumulate, this type of technology just becomes stronger and stronger minute by minute.
Now, to create a radiance field, how many cameras do you need?
1.
How many photos do you need?
That's a great question. I don't know.
1. Unity says if we have 1 photo, we can create a radiance field out of that, and you can move around about 15 degrees. It's not going to be a complete walk around scene, but it's going to be a piece of a scene, right?
Yes.
So how many cameras does a Tesla have again?
Shoots.
8.
I think that's a bunch.
8.
Okay.
How many Teslas are rolling across the Golden Gate Bridge right now?
10 every second.
Well, 1 every 10 seconds. So
yeah, I got that.
maybe 20 seconds, maybe 30, but maybe 5, maybe 3 in a bunch, right? You can stand out there and you just see a lot of Teslas going across the bridge.
Yeah.
So let's say there's a fire on the bridge, or an accident, or something, or a protest, or a police action, or a construction crew that's closing a lane down, or the road zipper is changing the lanes, and the Tesla's driving by. Can't it create a radiance field? Can't it upload that to a new digital twin of the real world? And then can't we create a new kind of virtual thing on the Golden Gate Bridge so that we can walk around the virtual Golden Gate Bridge in near real time?
This is blowing my mind. Just to really think about
this is why
how we're able to store all this. Oh my gosh.
And now why is Elon Musk buying Twitter? Oh, he's going to have
I would love for you to elaborate on that.
Exactly,
please.
that. He's going to have a real-time data structure of the real world. And he's going to be able to tell you every fire in real time, near real time, or every police action, or every protest, or every line in front of nightclubs, or anything about the real world that's changing. He's going to be able to see that.
Because essentially, he has like you could treat these cars as like just data scrapers at that point, and they're just
bingo.
Wow, that becomes it's insane. I mean, wow, I'm kind of like
and then
tripping out a little bit.
And then are we talking about 10 years from now when almost everybody you know is wearing glasses at least part of the day? Smart glasses with 2 cameras on it with AI on it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
right?
exponential growth. Yeah, we're going to hit round 2 of this because we did it with the internet. We saw that, like, and now this. So the previous data supports further, it helps it out in the future, so it's just going to compound.
Yeah. So now, do you want to go to Coachella? Music festival, right? Is your friend wearing a pair of glasses in the front row? You can go to the front row. And isn't everybody that's standing next to him or her wearing a pair of these glasses too? So aren't you creating a radiance field of the entire stage from a decentralized technology that's all talking together and using all the resources on the field?
What do you think, like the NBA or someone will just put a bunch of these radiance fields in a facility to say,
already done,
boom,
I got a tour of the Las Vegas stadium. They have dozens of cameras around the stadium that creating with an AI computer underneath, all connected with fiber optic lines. This is in Las Vegas right now, and it's creating radiance fields right now.
Wow. So this is inevitable. I mean, it makes so much sense where our technology is heading.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it is insane. The future is crazy. While your self-driving car is driving you around, we're all playing video games with each other, or going to a TED Talk, or going to a classroom and learning how to do surgery while the car's driving.
And just a few years ago, we thought it was amazing having Waze sharing these updates with each other.
Bingo.
This is a whole another level of why you're driving. You can contribute to traffic, you can contribute to data while having fun with people on the road with you.
Bingo.
So a large part of this show is people that are interested in crypto investing. I mean, none of this will be taken as financial advice, but like, what are things that we could be looking at today, specifically in the crypto industry? And then maybe we'll look at other ones. But like, do you see any of these chains really playing a huge part in AR?
Oh yeah.
What current chains?
Well, I'm not sure which chains I would use because the transaction volumes eventually are going to get insane, and I don't know what chain is going to support which transaction volume or which use case. But
yeah, are you familiar with layer 2s?
Not well enough to talk about it, so teach me.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
Okay, well, layer 2s are help for scalability on the Ethereum network, because Ethereum, quote unquote, mainnet. And so what it does, it batches a whole bunch of transactions, and there's a lot of different projects on layer 2s right now, and they're looking at exploring that scalability issue of gas being so expensive, but the reliability of Ethereum, because you have something like Polygon and what else? There's several other ones that Matic, that they're centralized and they go down every so often, but they have really low transactions fees due to that. But people want the full decentralization and the full this. So layer 2s are making a huge
we don't want to use Apple Pay. We want to use crypto Pay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there's projects like Arbitrum, Optimism, and Starknet.
I mean, this is a good example of why you need scalability, right? I went to Coachella for real. I went and saw Marshmallow in the field. He had 30,000 people all together. It was cool. It was badass. But then a few years later, he's on Fortnite and he has 11 million people doing the same thing. Don't we all want to buy a T-shirt by Marshmallow? Don't we want to buy that with some sort of scarcity on it? Maybe each shirt is created in part by a thing like DALL-E. That's creating part of the artwork on the shirt, so it's unique, each one. Don't we want to have a lot of transaction volume? Yeah.
So layer 2s. But I guess I'm kind of like pushing my thoughts, but with the current environment, like what technology makes sense to invest in your opinion? I know that's a tough question, but I have to ask.
Tesla. I mean, I'm invested in Tesla and Apple. Now, which crypto would I invest in? I've had Mana. I've had some Ethereum. I've had some Bitcoin. And then there's a whole list. I mean, I saw a tweet yesterday. Don't invest in this one. Invest in this one. I don't know. I don't know what's going to win.
I guess it's interesting.
I mean, 5 years from now,
it's very difficult.
What's going to be the blockchain based technology that we're going to all use? I don't know. If I did, I'd buy it. I was the first guy to see Ethereum. Did I buy any? No, I'm not good at that. That's not why.
That's completely fair. And I love the honesty. I just had to ask because it seems like with you, with your take, there's a reason why you're getting invited to see a lot of this technology for the first time.
Yeah.
There's a solid reason for that. Like you're able to sense whether this is not only cool for someone that's really into the technology, but also for mass adoption.
I'm passionate about technology too. All these people building this technology, they can't talk to their family and friends about this stuff. They're bored to tears. Right? It's like, will you shut up about Ethereum already? Stop talking to me, or stop talking to me about Cardano. I mean, I do Twitter Spaces every night. We have people come on, and it's like, man, we've heard about Cardano now already 15 times. How many more times do we have to hear about it? I don't know. I guess one more. And I'm passionate about it. I like hearing about it. Normal people, no, it's like, shut up. So
yeah,
I get invited because I'm passionate about this technology, and I like understanding it. I can't build it, right? I'm watching all these computer vision engineers who are doing the math programming underneath these things. It's way over my head, but I can understand enough of it. I used to work at a computer programming magazine. I would take the code that somebody would send me for their article. I could at least copy and paste that into a compiler and run it. And I can talk to them about it and understand what it's trying to do so I can make sure I edit the article right and then convert it to real English.
And there's so much value to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really say it like it's nothing, but there is a huge value to bridging that gap because like you were saying earlier about Vitalik is like some of these people are on a whole nother level, and to be able to convey that and really explain, hey, this is how this technology can be used.
Yeah.
That really helps build the onboarding process of this whole process of adopting technology. Yeah. Because I saw a talk that you gave to Stanford about digital advertisement around like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. Like explaining the the fundamentals.
You weren't in the class that I taught when MC Hammer, did you? Were you?
No, that was the one I was watching though.
Okay,
but
because we taught a class together, we both looked at each other and go, "They'd never let us in here, would they?"
No, it was so brilliant though, and it's just, I guess another question is, so you publish books on technologies being early. I know we talked a lot about AR in this conversation, but if you were to publish a book or things that are going off in your head right now that are really exciting you, is there anything else outside of AR?
Well, all these spaces, right? Look at NVIDIA. What is NVIDIA's Omniverse? It's a digital twin of the real world joined with their hardware infrastructure. They have data centers where they have fiber interconnects between all the GPUs, right? So they can virtualize that using VMware's virtualization software together. So they can have a data center of 1,000 computers, all with their latest NVIDIA GPU cards, and they're all joined together as one. That's an AI computer, a very, very powerful AI computer for doing training of autonomous cars. So that's NVIDIA's Omniverse. Well, off of that, that same system is going to run your robots, and there's a lot happening in robots. Your autonomous car, which is sort of a robot, but a little different. Your augmented reality glasses, your virtual being. We haven't even started talking about virtual beings because if you have glasses, now you're going to have a little dog that's in your room with you all the time, talking to you all day long. That's a virtual being, right?
Wait, that's the first I'm hearing of virtual
Yeah.
being.
Yeah, there's going to be virtual beings in your entertainment, in your video games, right? Things that you're playing a game and you see a monster and it's going to be able to interact with you, or a SpongeBob is
So
going
a
to start
virtual
talking to
being
you.
kind of being like Siri, like a
Yes,
something that you interact with,
but with a form.
virtual being like,
Could look like a
yeah,
human,
some type of avatar or characteristics.
could look like a human, could look like a dog, could look like whatever the hell the developer wants it to look like, right? SpongeBob
Like
or
the old
Darth
paperclip on
Vader, paperclip,
yeah,
whatever you want, right?
yeah, like the old word paperclip, but
Yeah.
definitely it's in its finest form.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, Omniverse runs all of that. So it's a Hydra, right? All of those things need the same technology underneath.
Interesting.
And then
Because
all of those things are going to have transactionality. If you send your autonomous car to go get lunch for you in the afternoon, don't you need to pay for that lunch somehow? Now, are we going to pay with Apple Pay, or are we going to pay with crypto pay?
okay, how far are we away from that, do you think? Your vehicle going to pick you up lunch. That just seems, but again,
if you're in
I'm
San
not deep in
Francisco,
this.
it can happen right now, because already in San Francisco, the cars are driving around without humans in them.
Yeah, what company is that? I was just in San Francisco.
There's two. There's two. Actually, there's a bunch, but there's two that are really doing it. GM, General Motors, has a company named Cruise. They're driving around without drivers.
There's
And
one with a W.
yeah, Google's car. Google spun out their first. Google bought the first autonomous car, and that's Waymo. That's Google's company.
Yeah, that's what I saw, Waymo. But there's still a driver in the front seat.
Not
Is
anymore.
that just for research?
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Wow.
They're driving
so legally,
around.
that can happen?
Yes, they're driving around without human beings in the car now. Yes, that just happened in the
When did that pass?
last month or so. It's fast.
No way. Okay.
All right. So now the
That's
Tesla,
huge.
you watch the Tesla. I have a Tesla that's 4 years old. And it was really shitty at autonomous cars when I first got it. It could barely drive on a freeway. Now it drove me for 2 hours. It drove me for 4 hours yesterday, and it made a few mistakes along the way, but not many. Let's say it made 10 mistakes in 4 hours of driving.
That goes back to our point about compiling all this data. Like it's just going to refine itself.
It's an exponential learning system. So
yes, wow.
Next year, how many mistakes is it going to make on the same ride? Let's say it's 5. Then the next year after that, how many mistakes is it going to make on the same ride? 2. Then the year after that, how many mistakes is it going to make on the same ride? None.
So for that, when is hardware going to interfere?
3 years?
Like when are you going to have to every 3 years replace the hardware?
No. This is my car's 4 years old. It just got an update. It's radically better.
Which raises the question though. Like, so the software, that makes sense. You can update. Yeah. But when is that like hardware going to max out, do you think? Or is it we're so advanced with hardware that we're in a good spot there?
Here's the question. How many computers are on your glasses of the future? It might not be many, because you can put most of the processing up in the cloud on that NVIDIA Omniverse.
That was my next question. And
the Omniverse can take your sensor readings and convert that in the cloud.
So that was my next question.
Yeah, one of the advantages of Radiance fields is they're very compact for what you think you're seeing, i.e. they're easy to upload or download, right?
So 100%. So cloud computing,
or compared to little triangles all over your living room, right?
So yeah. So the way I think of it, our connection, our internet, if you will, has gotten so strong that alongside hardware, cloud computing is going to become insanely possible, because we can have a really lightweight device that focuses mainly on battery power, and it can just offload all that heavy computing to one of these remote silos. Is that
there's already a company that's showing how to do this, Varjo, which is a VR company out of Denmark, I believe it is. They're doing all their processing up in the cloud on Unreal Engine. And so they're doing all the heavy GPU work up in their GPU cloud, and then shoving it down to your glasses or your headset over the internet. And so,
because
that kind of architecture is coming. That's how Facebook or Zuckerberg is going to compete with Apple's infrastructure in the house, but not next Christmas, sometime after next Christmas.
Because he partnered with NVIDIA and has correct? Or am I?
Everybody's going to partner with NVIDIA, and then NVIDIA is going to build their own glasses, and let's see what disruptions happen, right? Because are we playing on Zuckerberg's glasses or Apple's glasses or some open source glasses or some NVIDIA glasses or some Tesla glasses?
I would feel like the NVIDIA might be open source. Is that in their ethos at all, or no?
The magic isn't the code. I mean, look at DALL-E. Mini DALL-E is generating, I don't know, 60 million images a day right now. Do you know how many lines of code that thing is? 60 lines of code. It's all done with data. It's all done with AI. Wow. AI doesn't need a lot of code. It needs a lot of data.
So would you say we're at the point, like you said earlier, the AOL stages? Like after this conversation, I'm fucking fired up. Like we're at the beginning tipping point Bingo. Of this next like whole world of what we can use, and all our previous technologies like gonna respectfully hand up the data. It feels like building on the shoulder of giants, and now we have this huge tipping point. It feels like
it's going to be a crazy. We haven't even talked about DALL-E or the competitors of DALL-E like Midjourney, right?
What is DALL-E?
DALL-E is an AI foundation, i.e., the AI sucked in 225 million images, sort of like a Nerf, and now anytime you talk to it, it hallucinates a JPEG back to you. So if you say, hey,
I've heard of this.
I want a pink monkey on a purple bicycle and make it in Ansel Adams black and white style, it'll send you back a JPEG, right? Of that.
Oh, interesting. What are your thoughts on IP of things created by AI?
It's a Wild West. There's no rules.
Exactly.
There's a lot of rules, but there's no rules, right? So you can get away with a lot of things that the legal industry hasn't figured out how to deal with yet. Because what is creating the pink monkey on the purple bicycle? Is it some piece of some photo that was shot somewhere? How do you prove that? You can't prove it. So now, how do you prove copyright and trademarks? Man, that's going to be an interesting discussion.
A whole nother world.
Yes.
Is like how does law keep up? And we'd already know the U.S. law is so slow to even do. I mean, we're still dealing with stuff. Oh my gosh!
Go back to the Golden Gate Bridge. How many photos does Instagram have of the Golden Gate Bridge? Millions,
bro. Millions,
many millions, maybe hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, with new ones being made literally right now. There's people on the Golden Gate Bridge taking pictures and uploading them to Instagram right now. Right. So back to the Nerf. If you're walking around a virtual Instagram version of the Golden Gate Bridge, what created that? Everybody created it.
Yeah.
And how do you prove that anybody created it? No, you can't. So what's copyright and trademark in such a world? What's privacy in such a world? If somebody's taking a picture of their kids and their kid gets pulled in there, I don't know.
Yeah. This raises a lot of questions, but one that I would love your opinion on is So as we move towards, Web3
By the
decentralization,
way,
one
in
of the
the
big
United States,
notions.
if you're on the Golden Gate Bridge, you have no privacy because you're in public. So if the
Ooh,
Tesla's rolling
interesting.
by, taking pictures of you and uploads those to the virtual metaverse, the real time metaverse they're building, i.e., this AI simulator, there is no privacy. So,
Yeah, so privacy is a huge role in Web3, and people like owning your data is a huge part of this
yes.
movement. And reason, do you foresee a future where users are getting microtransactions for their data?
This is a big question.
Yes,
Maybe, but probably not.
maybe.
Dep-
Interesting.
it depends. This is why we need an open approach because okay, so let's put on our Oculus Quest from
Yep.
Zuckerberg's company named Meta. Now it used to be called Facebook, right? You put on your Oculus Quest and you go into a property, a virtual world called Horizon Worlds. And Horizon Worlds lets us create a virtual world together. So you can join there and we can be building a table and a chair and a scene and all that in this virtual thing. Who owns all of our work? The terms of service is really clear. Zuckerberg owns it all. So are we going to own anything in that world? I don't think so. Are we going to get
Well,
revenues from something we create? Yeah, okay. He's saying he's going to share revenues with developers, but he still is. On the other hand, he's saying, "I own all your work." So I don't know what we get.
I
And
think
do you have any rights if let's say we create a big castle and it's the best party on the internet, right? Everybody's coming there and it's getting more and more valuable. Can he steal it from us? He already did. We signed the terms of service. He owns it all. He can kick us out
so.
and take
That's a
it
great
over.
point, but I think education is a big part of this whole part of what you're going to involve yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this narrative plays out really. This is what I believe, and I think there'll be a platform that because essentially advertisers are paying Facebook
Yeah.
for the user's attention,
Yeah.
and with 60 lines of code running a function to pay that user, like liquid drip them microtransactions for their time on the platform. They're literally paying the user directly instead of paying the third party. So I think there could be a platform in the sense of where this type of ecosystem could really like come into its own.
Yes. Yeah.
But do you
If you
think these big corporations will continue to hold that back? But at some point, the user makes the choice. Like, hey, I can go on Facebook. I already know they have a bad reputation. Like more or less,
the problem
that's up to
is
you. But they have a bad.
the user is already building on Horizon Worlds. There's hundreds of thousands of worlds being created over there. So some users are like, fuck it, I'm I'm going to use this thing because it's the best way to build worlds. It's the easiest way to build worlds. Now, can we go over to Somnium Space or some other virtual land that's been created with Web3 principles, right? Take no dependencies kind of principles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could, but the the consumer hasn't yet spoken. That the game hasn't
Yeah.
yet been played, right? And so
What
you're
about
absolutely
something
right
like
that we have
this?
to pay attention to this because you're going to do a lot of things in virtual worlds together. Me and you, everybody.
Yes.
And who owns all that? Do we own anything we do there? And we're going into a world where we are wearing eye sensors, i.e., the computer is, and we have really advanced computer vision. Most humans haven't seen the computer vision yet that I've seen in the labs that are coming out. I mean, there's an app on your iPhone called Chooch, CHOOCH.ai. It already recognizes 200,000 objects in the real world with an iPhone camera. You aim your camera at a Toyota RAV4, it says that's a Toyota RAV4. You aim it at a Coke can, it says that's a Coke can. You aim it at a iMac, it says that's an iMac, right? You aim it at a banana, it says that's a banana, right? So you start thinking about, oh shit, we're going to have a device by next Christmas that's seeing where we are looking and what we're touching, what we're holding, what we're eating, and all that is going to what? Mark Zuckerberg's company? Wow.
Yeah, crazy. So I mean, this is the perfect time to this is the perfect time to ask that question.
Yes, it is. It's the only time, by the way. So because most of us don't yet have a pair of glasses on our feet. I'm not wearing a pair of glasses yet with this kind of technology in it.
So imagine in this scenario, you could package your data, right? You're like, I want to download this app, I want to use it. But I will provide yes or no answers if that's a speaker, if that's a cup, and I will sell that data somewhere. Is that something that's plausible, or is it just like we're getting mouth fed?
I don't know. Humans give away their privacy for convenience and do it over and over again. So even people say, oh, I'm never going to have that on. I mean, look at a Tesla. It has a camera that's aimed at everybody in the car. So you're not going to buy a Tesla. Okay. Your kids aren't going to have as safe a car as a Tesla. Okay. You're not going to ever hire a Tesla when it starts self-driving and get in one because you're at an airport and you need a ride. Okay. And you think anybody else isn't going to do the same thing, like Waymo company or GM's Cruise company?
Yeah.
Right. And
it's the same thing.
If you're telling me you're not going to put on the Apple glasses and you want to play video games in your house or watch a movie or go to school, right? Because these technologies are very powerful education technologies as well. So you can learn surgery in your kitchen on a real fucking patient and walk around it and touch a real robot that's actually doing the surgery. So you tell me you're not going to do that in your kitchen? Okay. And you're going to try to make some sort of judgment about data collection in your kitchen at that point in time and decide where it goes? I don't know, man. It's a lot of work for a human being to understand and decide on that. And I know that they're going to give it up. They're just going to hit okay on the terms of service and not think about it too hard.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to agree with especially the first wave, because it's the same way we use Gmail, right? It's like authenticate to log in. It's easy. And what you're doing is providing the data and you're doing it for ease of use.
Now, are we going to have, okay, let's get garish for a second. IBM created the tattooing system for the Jews in the Holocaust. That's very possible in the future of this type of technology. We can create technologies that are going to do a lot of harm to human beings. Do we figure it out before we do that harm, or do we figure it out after we do that kind of harm? If somebody uses this kind of technology for that kind of harm. And is that why humanity then switches to a protective system where you use homomorphic encryption, for instance, to encrypt everything that you are touching and looking at and thinking, right? That's the recommendation of the people I listen to, is push for homomorphic encryption on everything so that your data stays you and you can't be studied by a computer and or targeted by a computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're a long way from that world, right? And then put everything on a blockchain where your data is you and you're in control of it, and you take no dependencies on big companies, and you're everything you're doing is you, and you have no dependencies. That sounds like a great world. I hope it gets built. I hope people use it. I hope it's attractive to people. But I have a feeling we have to go through the AOL version of the world first, where Apple owns everything for a while. Yeah. A Christmas.
No, it's a very accurate and well said. I think, yeah.
There's a lot of troubles coming and a
the
lot of good things coming too.
yeah, right? Exactly. And like, no, a lot of that example you gave, I didn't know about IBM, but technology has done a lot of good. But the one thing I will say that's kind of on our side now is we've actually experimented with this technology for a little bit now. And we understand, at least I would hope, the pros and cons of owning your own data. And then now we have this tool, the blockchain, where it can serve its purpose. I just hope they all get realized at the same point and they cross roads in a healthy way. But I agree. I mean, it
I
comes
would
down
love
to
to have control of my. I mean, underneath Facebook, they have a database about you, things that the AI has figured out you like. Right? You click like on Beyonce, it goes in the database. Oh, that guy likes Beyonce. Now, an advertiser who wants to target people who like Beyonce and can send ads just to people who like Beyonce. Right? I would like to be able to clean up that database in much more detail so that it serves me better things, not just ads, better experiences, better news, better music, better everything. Because if I like Beyonce, why am I being served something else on by an AI? Right?
that's an interesting question,
So
right?
now I'd like to have that database in a place where I control it on my device, in my control, where I can keep cleaning it up over time.
Wow, that's a thought right there, where you curate your own database.
Bingo.
Because ultimately what that does is it provides, like you said, I haven't thought about self-custody database. I mean, in the sense of on the blockchain I have, but not of like add, delete, and
Yeah. I like,
wow,
maybe I get tired of Beyonce and I go back to AC/DC. Stop showing me Beyonce, show me more AC/DC. Right? That would be.
Is there any headway on anything like this, or is this just like you're utopian?
No, and the problem is it's all centralized. Facebook literally has a database like this. If you figure out, you can actually look at your database and you can delete things from it, but you can't change it. You can't say, "Hey, change Beyonce to AC/DC and see what happens to my feed." Right? Right?
But how cool would this project be, dude?
Yeah.
A project where you have your custody of your data, you curate it.
Yeah.
Don't you think Facebook or Google will give you something for that? And
it could be, right? Or some other system, right? Oh, the decentralized ad network wants to give you ads to defray the costs of your video games and your entertainment. But we need access to your database, right? Oh, yeah.
That's the future I see.
I'll let Twitter have that access or something like that, right? And okay. The truth is, it's going to be centralized for a while. It's going to be going to be inside these big companies because they have the infrastructure to deal with, to build these kinds of database. Twitter has a database on me too, just like this, right? And Zuckerberg owns Facebook's infrastructure. Google has its infrastructure, and Twitter has its own. And Twitter is getting bought by Elon, so lots of new things coming. But I don't know how it gets to the decentralized world where I have control. By the way, one guy you should have on your show is Doc Searls, because he's been talking about this for a long time. He calls it vendor relationship management. And he wants to have this.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. He wants to have this kind of control of what does the vendor get from me? Why are you asking for all that data? What are you going to do with it? Where is it going to go? Are you going to use this against me? Are you going to, are you going to start radicalizing me with politicians, right? We have a lot of questions as to this kind of data that, we need people like Doc Searls to be heard.
Yeah. Definitely. I would love to talk to him. I think it's so fascinating. And honestly, this discussion has been so thought-provoking and like really eye-opening for me. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
I mean, I want to respect your time.
Oh no, we do this every night on Twitter Spaces. That's why I'm pretty up to date, because we've had these arguments about homomorphic encryption, and we have a lot of really interesting people from like Apple and Amazon and Unity and other places, and all the Web3 people they're starting to
Yeah,
talk
for the
about these
listeners,
things.
how could they check that out? What time do you do that? I would love
There's a
to
guy.
get involved.
There's a guy named Zen who has a space every evening from 6 p.m. to midnight on Twitter Spaces right now, and
What time zone?
Pacific time. And then I do a
Okay.
weekly show on Apple and augmented reality. Start every Monday at 5 p.m. So I started out, and then we kick it over to Zen. But if you're on Twitter, all you have to do in the evening, you'll see what space I'm in, and you just click on me, and then you'll see the Twitter Spaces at the top of your mobile app, and so people can join Twitter. It's like Clubhouse. There's another one called Clubhouse that a lot of people use.
Mm-hmm.
I like Twitter, so
yeah, they did a great job.
Elon Musk wants more of my data. I'm going to give it to him. True story, by the way. He already knows everywhere I go in the world, and he already has my credit card, my driver's license, my insurance card. That man has a lot of my data.
Yeah, I looked at it through that lens for a little bit, but I was reading articles more on like the ego side of him buying Twitter. But that's just haters and things, people just trying to get some clicks. But I do see the data play is the obvious, and
he has a lot of things he can do with his AI. We didn't even talk about cars, because we could spend another 2 hours just talking about how he works his companies together. Like, he takes the alloy out of SpaceX because they have material scientists there, and he radically changed how the cars and trucks are made with a casting machine. Only Tesla has this casting machine, and it's using an alloy from SpaceX. So now he's buying Twitter, and over the next few years, is he going to take the AI out of Neuralink, which is studying how brains work, and then he's making the AI in Tesla? Is he going to take the AI out of Tesla and put it into Twitter? Of course he is. And the AI he has is unbelievable. I mean, he has simulators. You can walk down the street and there's pedestrians. You could turn it to rain, to sun, right? It's a neural radiance field.
Wow. I mean, this is
when I talk about the Golden Gate Bridge, I'm not fucking around, man. We're going to be walking around the Golden Gate Bridge next year in a radiance field in a headset. And hey, you want it to be foggy? No problem. Hey, Tesla, make it foggy. Hey, Tesla, make it rain. Hey, Tesla, make it sunset. Hey, Tesla, make it sunrise. Hey, Tesla, put a crowd on the bridge. Hey, Tesla, I want only dogs on the bridge. Right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's inevitable, and we're heading there, and it's so cool to have people like yourself being able to understand the technology and just the use case that the consumer is going to experience. Because a lot of people, when you bring it up, they shut down, like you said, and they're like, I don't know about it. But
they don't think
you did
about
a great
it.
job explaining it.
I hope I did. It's hard. It's hard to understand concepts like radiance fields because it's all researchers talking about it right now. But I work for a robot company, and the guy who started the robot company built the first autonomous car at Stanford. More accurately, built the computer vision system for the autonomous car. And then he built the software for Magic Leap, which is augmented reality glasses. So I talked to him a lot, and he's explaining to me what radiance fields are and how they would work for a football stadium.
Wow.
It's coming next year.
Next year, you've dropped enough alpha in this episode for a whole year.
It's already here for some people. But, I mean, there's people, if you do a search on Twitter for NERFs, NERF, you'll see people creating radiance fields, and they're pretty cool. But they're in a little box on a 2D screen. Wait until you can walk around them.
Yeah. Well, Robert, it's been a pleasure. I know you have a lot of the future to look into today.
Yeah.
And you're a busy man. But all his links will be in the show notes, everything he mentioned. I'm definitely going to check out some of these Twitter spaces. And Robert, I can't thank you enough for this conversation. I have a lot to research.
Oh, no problem. And then I'm keeping track of all the companies in the metaverse. I have a Twitter list of 2,200 companies who are building these 3D technologies. I have a separate list of people who are building crypto stuff. And I'll probably start some new lists too, because the Web3 world is starting to happen, and I need to keep track of that, particularly with the decentralized infrastructure, because there's a lot of money going into that space. And like you said, there's a lot of things happening, and I'm real interested in the infrastructure that's going to be used by people building these experiences, to build new kinds of apps and new kinds of utilities for human beings.
I love it. We're at the AOL stage. I mean, logging in's a little chunky right now. You hear some weird sounds, but pretty soon we're gonna be running smooth, and appreciate all the work you're doing.
Oh, thanks. And it's a 50-year thing, right? I won't see the end of this, because it's like growing up in 1977 and these two kids. I show you the Apple II for the first time. We're still improving the personal computer today, 40 years later, right? So
yeah, that's crazy to think. It's like when we're grandparents, when we're just like, no, because you show them the phone, and they're just toying and can't believe it. As much as we think we have all this under control, imagine when we're grandparents and dealing with some of this technology. It's gonna be something else.
I totally agree. It's a crazy world coming at. We didn't even talk about Neuralink, really, but everybody over
sounds like we have to do another episode.
We do. Maybe maybe in September, after he shows off his latest AI stuff. There's going to be a lot of conversations then, and then I'm assuming Apple comes out in January with its thing. So the next year is going to be fucking insane, to truth be told.
Well,
it already
I'm excited to follow you and your updates. Oh yeah. I mean, we're doing some crazy stuff, but I really love just your passion for all of this, and can't thank you enough. But sounds like we got to do another episode. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Thanks.
But again, everyone, links in the show notes. Robert, this man is staying on top of so many different innovative technologies. Follow those lists. I know I'm going to check those out. Get in those Twitter spaces. Start asking the weird questions in there. And thank you again, Robert.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Welcome to FutureFi, where our mission is to educate and elevate Web 3.0. Prepare for exploration in 3, 2,